Howdy, Tomo here. Today I wanted to talk about a very important subject. Uh, how do I heat my cabin? I get this question a lot, and I would say that I found a pretty cheap and pretty decent solution. I bought one of these diesel heaters from Amazon. I think I ended up paying $170 for this. So for those who don't know, this is a very inefficient diesel engine. So what it does, you feed it diesel. This is where the exhaust port is. So it's a small engine. It takes air from one of the sides, one of these large pipes, and it blows hot air, really hot air, on the other side. So the reason why I wanted to talk about, a few tips and tricks, few lessons I learned. I have been using this for over a year, and I screwed things up, I fixed them, so that's why I'm making this video, so you don't end up making the same mistakes. The reason why most people, what they do, they install these in RVs and things like that. If you're interested, this is the model number, this is the bigger model. A lot of people install the unit itself inside an RV. I didn't do that because I'm always worried about carbon monoxide poisoning. So I ended up mounting this unit underneath the cabin. So even if the engine cracks or something happens, something catastrophic happens, hopefully the carbon monoxide is gonna come outside, and I'm not gonna poison my family with it. So that's one thing. It came with an adapter plate, but I didn't like that plate because it was very flimsy. So what I ended up doing, I took a 1/8 inch plate and I drilled it out and I mounted it underneath my cabin this way. One thing I learned the hard way, I damaged the first unit I had. This unit has to be mounted this way, so exhaust and intake has to be looking down. This is very important. There are multiple reasons to do this. I'm not gonna bore you with the details. Just believe me, mount it this way. You're gonna save yourself a whole lot of headaches, and you're not gonna destroy your unit. This is a 12-volt system. I have a solar panel. I don't have electricity here, city electricity. So that was one important factor for me. The reason why I went with this diesel unit, there are other types of heaters. There are propane. There are so many other things. So I do a lot of hunting. I wanted a smokeless, smellless, odorless solution. Also the power consumption on this one from the 12-volt system, after the initial 5 minutes, if you know how diesel engines work, you have to heat up a coil basically in order to get things started. So the diesel engine consumes about 10 amps, this one, for that initial 5 minutes, but after that the power consumption goes down dramatically. With the propane system, that power consumption is going to be close to 5 amps, no matter what you do. With this one, it's under 1 amp. There's a small controller board, and that is the only thing that really consumes power once the diesel process, the diesel burning process starts. I fixed the exhaust right here. This is the exhaust pipe. I didn't attach the muffler because frankly it didn't do much. It's a pretty quiet system. Yeah, you can take that. You can see that. This is the intake pipe. I kind of hit the intake filter up here. This is for the fuel. The fuel pipe is right behind this piece of wood on the other side. I'm going to show you the tank in a bit. The controller is inside the cabin. It's very important to know this is not a very expensive unit, and they don't do temperature control. So this is not, it doesn't have a thermostat really. It doesn't monitor your temperature, and it doesn't adjust the throttle depending on the temperature inside. So it's a fixed throttle engine. So you have to remember that. Basically, if you set it up at a fixed throttle, when you go to sleep, you know, mornings are always colder. Your cabin is gonna cool off because it's a fixed throttle. It outputs a fixed amount of power. You can change that power, you know, starting from 20% of that max power, the 8 kilowatt. So you can bring it all the way down to 2, maybe 1.5 kilowatt. You cannot bring it even under that. So you also have to remember that one. Yeah, so this is the unit. I'm gonna show you the rest of the system. This is my fuel tank. This is diesel again. I ended up mounting on a piece of 2x4 like that. I'm gonna show you a small clip later. I didn't use the fuel pipe system that the tank came with. I couldn't. I'm not comfortable, you know, drilling holes underneath. If you don't seal it correctly, it's gonna leak out. So what I ended up doing, I just had attached some bolt nuts to this pipe, and that's how it's dangling, you know, slightly above the bottom of the tank. So that's how I did it. You know, with this, it's not gonna leak at all, for sure, even if, you know, something happens. So fuel line goes like that. I try to hide the fuel line so my kids don't see. That's the fuel pump and the filter. So I'm gonna check how clean it is with this video. That's where the controller goes up underneath. I drilled the hole. I'm gonna also have a short clip how I installed the main intake and main exhaust for this system. It was kind of tricky because it's a 2x I have a 2x4s inside a wall, so I didn't have a whole lot of room. I had to do some tricky stuff. I'm gonna show you the inside real fast. Here it is. Again, there will be a small video. That's the intake. I wanted to elevate it as much as I could. So, you know, that's the intake, so air goes in. So I didn't want my kids to accidentally drop things in the register. Again, this is a 2x4 wall. So I couldn't buy a register box that was slim enough to fit it in. So I ended up building this out from some lumber. And this is the exhaust, so I blow air to the floor. I don't want hot air coming to my face. These grills, I ended up buying these from a small hardware store. These are floor registers for central heating. I couldn't find, you know, small grills for air conditioning systems. So yeah, there's a lot of small tricky stuff. Here's the controller. Again, it's not a true temperature control. You just change the throttle. I have a power switch. The whole thing is fused, and it's wired to my solar system. So yeah, my solar system real fast. I have a 100 watt solar panel on the roof. Goes into this $15 charge controller fuse box. So one of these circuits labeled everything nicely goes to that thing, and these are the batteries, so I can use that in the middle of the night. So with this, I spent last weekend 48 hours here. The system was going, and the batteries didn't get discharged all the way. That's just an inverter for the 110 volt system. Ignore that. So yeah, I really hope this helps. I really like this system. It's not too loud, you know. it's pretty quiet. One thing to know, you know, that initial 5 minutes when you turn it on, it's kind of loud because you have to start, you know, warming up the engine. It's a slow process. Once that process, you know, settles, the whole thing is gonna quiet down. I have, you know, for the intake, I have a 3-inch pipe go all the way down. You know, I kind of told myself if the system became too loud, I would just put a few turns in there so the sound would not come out from the engine. The engine is basically right there, you know, underneath that wall. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The most important thing you have to remember is that follow the instructions. The orientation of the engine is very important. I damaged mine, so the first one. So this one has been working great. It puts out a lot of hot air. One thing that people do sometimes, I don't recommend doing it. They kind of update the default settings. So the ratio, how fast the main fan spins, you know, how fast you blow air out, and how much the throttle is for the actual engine, you can change that ratio. However, I don't recommend doing it. A lot of people have issues with, you know, the burning process not being stable. They end up with all kind of error codes. I don't recommend doing it. So just update the throttle. Here's a small remote controller that it has. You know, you just update that throttle, you know, using this controller, and I would not mess with advanced settings. A lot of people screw it up. So yeah, this is what we have. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. Bye.